Learn the secrets of success. Exclusive insights and information from the experts. Tag Radio. Ready to let your mind go wherever technology leads? Then tag, you're it. Tag Radio. Here today. Imagine tomorrow. Entrepreneurship, success, leadership, and benevolence takes on a whole new level of definition when an academic institution's school of business is named and known in perpetuity in your honor. To not only achieve a level of success best described as legendary, co-founding a startup with an $8,000 investment that transforms into a national franchise phenomenon with hundreds of stores and sales over $100 million is quite an accomplishment, to say the least. But to also develop curriculum used in major universities for future individuals to become certified franchising executives can only be called remarkable. From near-fatal motorcycle accident to 2 world transcontinental bicycling records, from the Great American Cookie Company startup to leading today the 14-year-old Caribou Coffee Company to international prominence as a publicly traded company listed on NASDAQ, Michael Coles is living proof that there are no limits to what any individual can accomplish. Greetings, everyone. It's Tuesday, August 28th, and this is a very special edition of Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. As Tino visits with businessman, community leader, education advocate, and family man Michael Coles. A rare opportunity to gain the insights of this remarkable man's innovative business achievements, service to humanity, and a view into the future, as Tino speaks with Michael Coles.
Michael, thank you for joining me on Tech Talk.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we're very proud of you here in Atlanta, and I'm sure my listeners will be excited to get some of your insights. I'm amazed in terms of looking at your career, and certainly you're a very successful entrepreneur, one that could have gone back and taken on many more startups, I'm sure, but you were attracted to Caribou Coffee. What was your attraction there? I mean, why did you move from the building a company to taking on now a public company?
Well, first of all, I've been in the retail business since I was a kid, and I started out in the clothing business and eventually wound up in the cookie business. And after I sold the cookie company, I kind of looked around for a long time and began to think about what would be the next journey that I would involve myself in. And as I did a lot of research, I realized that there was really no serious number 2 challenger in the coffee space, and became really fascinated by it, and started to think about how I would go about going into the coffee business. And I really began that process by thinking about buying either a smaller company or starting something from scratch, when just really through a coincidence, I happened to meet the majority owners of Caribou Coffee, who were based out of Atlanta. And we began to have conversations, and after a period of a few months, I basically decided to put the idea of starting my own company from scratch and buying into Caribou and becoming its CEO, which I did in January of 2003, became an owner of the business and became its CEO with a mission of becoming a serious number 2 challenger to obviously the biggest the biggest company in the category, obviously being Starbucks. Caribou at that time was operating out of 9 states and the District of Columbia with under 200 stores, was a private company. And just under 3 years later, we were able to take the company public.
That's an amazing story of growth, and you guys are certainly seen as a major challenger and a very successful company. That requires a special kind of leadership. How would you describe your leadership style, and how that's had a positive effect on the growth of Caribou?
Well, I think, I always hear people talk about different definitions of leadership. I've heard a couple of great ones. Colin Powell says that the definition of a great leader is that you find people following you even if it's only out of curiosity. And I think that my style of leadership has been to understanding that I don't know everything about everything and can't come up with every idea that needs to be formulated to run a business. And so I've always tried to surround myself with very talented people who are much smarter and much more talented in their areas of the business, having great expertise at what they do, and allowing them to do their jobs, giving them the freedom, to make some mistakes, but ultimately make the right decisions going forward. And I think that it has, without question, really helped Caribou and other businesses that I've been involved in to grow.
Being that we're on a tag radio, technology comes to the forefront, and many of our listeners are either owners of technology businesses or involved with the technology field in some way, shape, or form. So I need to ask you at least a couple technology-related questions. Caribou is known for outstanding customer service. How does the company use technology to improve the customer experience?
Well, that's such a great question because, a lot of people think or might think that just a kind of a coffee shop or almost any small type of retail establishment, technology might not really come into play. But it's amazing how technology today, especially for a multi-unit retailer, helps our business dramatically in so many different ways. The point of sale equipment that is available today that allows us to move customers through the line quicker by being able to respond to their orders. There's technology today that is allowing us to keep that will allow us as we go forward to keep a database, a kind of data warehousing, to begin to understand how customers react within our stores. And in fact, at some point, you'll be able to walk into our stores and just either give us a credit card or a Caribou card, and when we swipe it, we'll know exactly what your profile is and what you probably are going to order that day, and you can just either say yes or no to that order. But from a technology standpoint, we have all of our stores today, well, I shouldn't say all, but the majority of our stores today also offer for our customers free Wi-Fi, which is becoming something that's
very important,
so important to so many people today. And the fact that Caribou offers it for free is a real differentiator between us, again, and our biggest competitor. The technology has moved into even the automation of how our espresso machines work. We today, because of technology and the kind of a small computer that's inside the machines, allows us to produce an espresso shot today that's much more consistent than, let's say, in the old style machines that used to be about. And there's as much hand craftsmanship that goes into delivering that great latte or cappuccino or whatever it might be that the customer's ordering, but the technology to make that espresso shot almost 100% of the time perfectly, again, speaks back to technology. But I can go on and on. I mean, just technology is allowing us to hire better people. We use it for we have a thing called Boo Hire, which allows us to screen people over the internet. And it's made a dramatic difference in the people that we were able to hire and the kind of talent that we can bring into the business. We are now able to do customer surveys over the internet so that we can develop a much deeper understanding of and customer satisfaction of how people feel about Caribou, what are the things that they're looking for out of our business going forward. We have an inventory system that's an internet-based inventory system. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. I could pick up the whole interview talking about how technology has really transformed our ability to do a better, but let me just say this. What it's done is it's not made the business less human. And in fact, it has just allowed the human interface to be that much better at what we do by the use of technology and having it become an integral part of how we conduct our business. And it's just, we're constantly looking at new innovations in technology, both from a mechanic or from an equipment standpoint, as well as how do we use technology to help develop our people and offer at the heart of all of this, which is what Caribou is all about, and really the heart of everything I've been about as a retailer is putting the customer at the absolute center of every decision that you make.
So, from that, you're certainly saying that you're getting many efficiencies by applying technology to your business. The company can operate more effectively and efficiently, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'd be interested, Michael, you were with Great American Cookie Company and started that, and we had a speaker a couple of years ago, actually now, Ray Kurzweil, who's a futurist. You may have heard of him, and he just talks about exponential growth in relation to technology and how it's changing the world. How fast is it coming? I mean, none of these things, I imagine, were available that you're talking about when you started your cookie company.
Yeah, I think we were using an abacus back in the cookie company.
Right.
At least in looking back at that, it kind of feels that way, because when here's really kind of an interesting. It just kind of puts it in perspective. When we started the cookie company, there was no POS systems.
Right.
I mean, it didn't even exist. There were no computers when we started the cookie company in 1977. There were no personal computers.
Right.
And we basically had all of our systems were done manually, and of course that's the way I grew up, so I understood how to do all of that. But our first register, as an example, was an NCR mechanical register that could not handle the amount of transactions that were taking place in our first store. And that on the first Saturday this is a true story. The first Saturday we were in business at the cookie company, that register actually caught fire. And the reason is that the old mechanical registers had a fan built inside that between transactions the fan would come on, and I don't know how interesting this is to everybody, but it would actually cool the motor of the register. And because there were so many transactions happening at the same time, the fan never had a chance to turn on, and basically caught the register on fire. But the interesting thing about that is it forced my partner and I to go out and buy what then were electronic registers, and eventually, within a very short period of time, we saw the benefit of what these registers were capable of doing for our business, and we began to develop, even in those early days, electronic P&L statements that we could produce on a day-to-day basis. But today, in the world that I live in, here at Caribou, the world of technology has so dramatically changed. When I think about how we ran our warehouse at the cookie company, and for all I know, they may be doing this at the cookie company today, but we have a system here called Radio Beacon where every time we pick an item, it's all barcoded. And in fact, the inventory system is maintained on a really up-to-the-minute basis based on the way it's picked and the way it's processed. It automatically, through a radio system, which of course, again, is all Internet-based, keeps up with the inventory within our business. But there are so many other processes that when I look back at today at Caribou as an example, we have every morning we produce a report that tells us what every store did basically on a daily basis as compared to the year before by hour to the year before. And that report's produced every day at 7:01 in the morning Central Time. And it would have taken the cookie company a week to produce a report similar to that.
And that's got to be key for someone like yourself to make decisions. And
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, there's this whole new technology we see. People are calling it Web 2.0, and an element of that certainly is new media technology and blogs and podcasts like today. And what are you guys looking at that as well? Those sorts of things.
We have, and we've done a couple of blogs. We did one last holiday season, primarily driven to our employees. We did a blog. We had a bus last year that we had wrapped with Caribou colors all the way around it, and as we launched our holiday season, we called it the Boo Bus. Went around the country and had engagement with both our employees as well as customers, and a lot of interaction, a lot of giveaways, and we had it we videotaped it every day, and then it went up on the blog. and talked about what the day's events were, and we had both customers and employees updating that blog on a regular basis. It was a lot of fun. Our new website that we will be launching in the future, in the very near future, will allow us to interact in a way that's very, very different, both having a lot of streaming video that will help us for both training and also to interact with customers on an education basis. There'll be some podcasts that'll be available to be downloaded off of our website that'll teach people about how coffee is made and all the intricacies that go into making a great cup of coffee, and just another kind of higher level to be able to communicate with customers. And from time to time, we engage in blogs. Now there's a lot of coffee blogs out there. You know, one of the things I've talked about for probably 10 years is the fact that the power of retail is no longer in the hands of the retailer. It is entirely in the hands of the consumer because of the ability that consumers have today to create their own networks of communication about specific retailers and experience, which is why we work so hard at really, our mission statement is Caribou Coffee, an experience that makes the day better. And that better not just be some needle point you put up in your office. You better live up to it. Right. Because today consumers can challenge you on that in a way that is not just local, but it's really international and can really help make your business or break your business. And so keeping customers at the center of what you do and understand that electronically that it's so key to how you go forward today by communicating with customers is really very, very important.
Well, Michael, you've been you're just about at your 4th year anniversary, I would guess. Is that
almost
right?
5th year, actually.
Almost 5th year. Okay, so you guys have had amazing growth in the first 5 years. Can you share with our audience anything that you would like to say in 5 years from now where you'll be?
Well, I think some of the things we've accomplished in these 5 years have been pretty dramatic. We now are, in 18 states as opposed to 9, and the District of Columbia, and we now have a domestic franchise program. We signed our first franchisee up to develop northern New Jersey. We have a number of sites that are going to be coming up behind that. We're an international company today. We have stores over 40 stores today outside the United States. We have strategic relationships with now 4 major companies. Kemp's here is an ice cream partner. We have General Mills that makes our breakfast bars, Coca-Cola Company making a ready-to-drink iced coffee, and the Keurig Company that makes K-Cups. I think on a lot of fronts you could say, boy, where do you go from here? But I think there's a world of opportunity for Caribou to continue to grow. When you think about the fact that our biggest competitor is, operates today almost 13 or 14,000 units as compared to our 500, almost 500 units today. We've got a long way to go to catch up if ever. And I think the thing that drives Caribou is not about being the biggest, but really about being the best coffee experience somebody can have at a coffee house. And, we want to make sure that we drive this business and build this brand in a very conscientious way, having the right kind of partners, but always delivering on our absolute customer value proposition, which is to offer that great experience with a great product and great customer service.
Well, Michael, thank you for joining us on Tech Talk. I appreciate you taking the time, and I won't even say best of luck because it sounds like you have everything going in the right direction, so congratulations.
Can always use a little bit of luck.
All right.
Use a little bit of luck. Thanks.
Thank you.